this meeting of the Westeros, Strathpeffer and Lochalsh Committee. Just want to note this is a formal public Highland Council meeting. It is being recorded and it will be uploaded for public access via the Council's YouTube site. You're therefore reminded not to make specific references to individuals and only to disclose any information which is in the public domain. And the chat function is to be used only for placing motions and amendments. And the hand should be used for coming in to speak. And as usual, I'm going to apologise for looking away because I've got the agenda up on another screen. So with no apologies for absence, we do have one declaration of interest, and that is from myself regarding item 8 and the application to the Community Regeneration Fund from the Westeros Biosphere because I'm a member on the board. So I will leave the meeting at that point, and Biz will chair that part of the meeting as co-chair. So our first item on the agenda is item 3, and it is our police area performance report, and we are welcoming David McAlpine for the first time, I think. Hello, David. And our thanks to Callum Smith, who supported us. He has now moved on to pastures new. So if I can hand over to you, David, for your report. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. And morning, everyone. Just a quick introduction. I'm David McAlpine. I'm the Acting Chief Inspector for the North Area Command. And thank you for inviting me to present the police report from the 1st of April 2025 to the 31st of December 2025 for the Westeros, Strathpeffer and Lochalsh Committee report. Obviously, the report has gone out prior to the meeting, and I'm not going to obviously go through it verbatim and word for word. It has been a sort of challenging year. And it's just to remind you that some of the figures you will see in the report, certainly for the 5-year averages, still take into account some of the COVID years. So it's just to make you aware of that point, but obviously happy to discuss any of the figures that we go through at this time. A lot of work has been done this year, a lot of proactive work, as we always try and do across the community is ongoing. I will obviously go into specific figures for you, and I will try and go into more sort of localized figures, because obviously the figures you have in this report are for the entire North Area Command, but I will try and give you some specific figures for your ward committee that you cover. So obviously, just moving on, page 3 shows the local policing priorities that we have and that we work towards. And then obviously page number 4 goes on to our road safety and road crime. So there's a lot of good work that ongoing for this, but just some figures for you from the report. Our drink, drug, driving offences for the North area is up on last year. We're up to 189 at present time. Speeding offences are up by quite a significant amount, and unfortunately the number of fatalities for this reporting period is up to 6, whereas 2024-25 we were at 3. So that's a tragic number that we've had an increase. But just to give you some more sort of localized figures for your sort of road safety and road crime for Westeros and Strathpeffer and Lochalsh, the number of dangerous driving offences that we've had recorded this year and so far 25-26 is 6, whereas 24-25 period we had 14, so that has come down. The number of driving under the influence, whether it be alcohol or drugs, has increased by 2 so far in this reporting period, 25-26 compared to 17 that we had in 2024-25. And the number of speeding offences that we've had recorded in this reporting period, 25-26, is 63 for the ward committee area, whereas last year in 2024-25 we had 34. So there's been quite a good number of detected speeders, and that is generally down to officers trying to go to areas where we have issues of speeding. It's showing the proactive work that we are engaged with, and it shows the work that we do with road policing officers. And we are trying to obviously listen to our communities, and obviously using statistics from last year and previous years, go to areas where there's been, sort of more crashes, etc., and that as well. So just another figure for you that's not within the report at all. The number of serious injury road traffic collisions for the division this year, it's not just the north, but for the division, is down by nearly 50%. So we're down 89 compared to last year, which I think is a positive, and it just shows ongoing work that is going on for trying to make our roads safer, and that is partly and large because of the great work that gets done by the road policing unit. So they are out engaging with motorists. They do Facebook webinars where people can ask them questions, and they give advice on that as well. They have been along the North Coast 500 to the sort of hotels there, giving out leaflets to pass on to any of their patrons that stay about the obviously advice for driving, etc., and that as well. They've got driver engagement for older drivers. They've got close pass engagement for cyclists on the road, and then we do new driver interventions with obviously newly passed drivers, and that's just inputs, again, just highlighting and trying to pass on advice and guidance to them so that we can try and reduce any crashes and make the roads safer. So that's a quick sort of update for the road safety side. Moving on to page number 6, and in terms of antisocial behaviour, disorder and violence, I suppose the good one there at the top is murder. We've had no murders reported in the north, which is great. We have had an increase in the number of assaults for the north, so we're currently sitting at 499 for the year to date, which is an increase of 36 from 24-25. Serious assaults are down by a total of 2 for the north. I will go into more specific figures for you for your area in a second, and obviously drug possession offences have increased for the north for 246 for the year to date compared to 226 for the previous year. And again, I think part of that, certainly for drug possession, is partly because of the number of traffic stops that are getting done and the number of people who are getting detected for drink driving across the area, and also just highlighting the proactive work that officers are trying to do to get in about obviously individuals who are involved in controlled substances and trying to deter that and detect that activity. So I take it as a positive that our numbers are going up because we are targeting the right people, but also on the other side, I would like the numbers to go down because it just means that less people are taking drugs or involved in that as well. So as it says in the report, we do have a harm prevention officer who links in with people who are vulnerable or targeting for county lines cuckooing offences and that, and we work closely with the Highland Alcohol and Drug Partnership to identify vulnerable persons and try and provide them with the best support that we can through our obviously partner agencies as well. So just moving on to sort of more local figures for you in relation to your sort of assaults, etc. So locally in your ward committee, common assaults, we are at the same number that we had last year, so we're at 27. So there's been no increase in that. We've actually had a decrease of 1 in terms of an assault on an emergency worker, a police officer. So that's come down, and it's come down actually in general for the whole of the area, which is good. And in terms of domestic abuse, we had 1 reported crime last year, and we've had 1 reported crime this year. So The figures are low, which is good, and obviously because we have so low figures, even an increase of 1 can show that it increased by 100%, but in reality our numbers are so low, it's any increase is just going to have a significant percentage rise. Moving on to acquisitive crime, I will say that the number of frauds is increasing, and that's a sort of a general picture across the whole of Scotland. We have a lot of people phoning individuals via phone, trying to tell them that their bank account has been hacked or there's an issue with their bank, and then they will try and get them to pass over account details, passwords, or ask them to transfer money into another account. And these people that are doing these phone calls are extremely good and very persuasive, and they come across as very legitimate, which is unfortunately means that the individuals obviously transferring money, etc., and that as well, and then only finding out after. So we work closely with banks, work closely with partner agencies to try and reduce this, put out obviously information, but it is an increasing crime, and unfortunately a lot of these crimes are committed, or the phone calls are committed abroad or out with Scotland, which makes it very difficult to try and trace where they are occurring. If you look at your report for the North, as I said, the frauds have gone up. They've gone up by 8 to 130 for this year compared to last year. We have seen quite a significant rise in theft by shoplifting across the North. So we are up from 140 in 24-25 to 202 year to date for 25-26. Part of that can be down to cost of living. It's been a hard year on a lot of people across the communities in the North for the cost of living. And shoplifting can come into different categories. People will steal for food to feed themselves because of the cost of living being so difficult. They will steal to try and fund a habit, whether it be alcohol or controlled substances. Or some people obviously commit crime just because, certainly for shoplifting, it's a bit of an excitement or a thrill. Certainly, sometimes with younger people, it might be the first time they've ever done it, and it's a bit of excitement for them and that as well. So shopliftings are up, but a large number of our shopliftings across the North, we can attribute to a handful of people. So we do have individuals that commit a large number of theft by shopliftings. Some of those are vulnerable, and we will work with a harm prevention officer to try and obviously give them support to try and, if it is an addiction, to try and come off that addiction. But obviously it's a very difficult, and we try our best to support these individuals to try and do that. So theft of a motor vehicle across the North is up by 8 from last year, so we're sitting at 26 year to date compared to 18 for 24-25. In relation to theft of a motor vehicle, it's not generally like crime groups coming up to the area to steal cars. Part of it can be that it could be a friend, a relative that has taken the keys and taken a car, and then it's been returned, but it's classed as a theft of a motor vehicle. So it's not just to, I suppose, provide some reassurance. It's not sort of gangs or groups of individuals coming up to target certain cars in the area and that as well. So so that is acquisitive crime. More locally for your ward committee, the number of frauds I mentioned, 24-25 period, you had 9. Currently year to date, we're at 17. So it's gone up nearly double. With regards house break-ins, last year at 24-25 period, you had 2 reported or recorded. We're sitting at 3 today, so we've gone up by 1 year to date compared to last year. So not a significant increase. Same with theft of a motor vehicle. 24-25 period, it was 1, and year to date we're sitting at 2. And that shows us a 100% increase, but it's just as I said, that one increase can just make the percentages look extremely high. Moving on to page 8, protecting vulnerable people. First one there is the number of rapes for 25-26 year to date is 41, which is down 8 less than reported last year, 24-25. So that's a positive. The number you may think is still quite high, but a number of these recorded crimes are reported when we deal with domestic incidents, and through the processes that we have in place now, the victim, with the support they get, feels more comfortable reporting non-recent crimes that occurred. So some of these crimes that recorded may have happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, last year. So anything that's out with sort of a week will get recorded as non-recent. But some of these offences that are recorded for this year have happened out with the 25-26 reporting period, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't, please just ask and I will let you know. Domestics, again, they've gone up for the division, but again, part of that is because I would like to think that the work that we do with our partner agencies, the work that the police has done over the last several years, we support domestic complainers and victims really well now, and our third partner agencies are excellent in what they do, and I think people are more confident in reporting crimes to the police. And again, like the rape figure, some of those figures in that 449 will be non-recent domestic incidents or crimes. So they could have happened last year or several years ago, but we can get individuals reporting a large number of crimes over a relationship they've been in for several years. So that's part of the reason for that. And then obviously, as you can see, missing persons is again down this year by 39 year to date, which is a positive. There's a lot of good work that goes in for missing persons. We've got a missing person coordinator who engages with care homes because we may have certain looked after children who go missing repeatedly. So with close working relationships with the care homes, we give them advice and guidance, and they may not report them initially missing. And obviously that saves a lot of time and resources, because a missing person inquiry can be resource intensive. So we have better working relationships and better sort of reporting protocols with partner agencies, and that seems to be paying off, and the missing person numbers are coming down. Obviously at the bottom of page 8, it just goes into the different categories that we have of missing people. I'm not going to go through them individually, but just to go more into your local reporting area for Wester Ross, Strathpeffer and Lochalsh, just for sexual offences, in the year 24-25 reporting period, there were 3 rapes recorded, and this year to date, there are 3 rapes recorded as well for 25-26. We have had an increase in sexual assaults. So last year, 24-25 period, there were 3 reported, and in 25-26 year to date, we are at 11. Again, part of that is because we're getting reports of non-recent crimes being reported when we deal with an incident, and they just get recorded under year-to-date figures. Moving on, serious and organised crime. So we are affected by county lines in N Division in the Highland area. We probably have less numbers in the north because of the distances that people have to travel. Sorry, Mr. Burt, I see your hands up.
So I did
Well,
see you had your
it
hand
could
up,
wait.
Councillor Burt, but I was going to suggest we just waited to the end for questions, if that's okay.
Yes, that's fine. That's what
Yeah.
I assumed. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry,
Thanks.
Chair.
Don't worry.
Yeah, so as I was saying, we are affected by county lines in the Highlands. Obviously, the north, the further you travel up in the north, because of the distances, probably not as prevalent as it is in Inverness. We do have a unit in Inverness that deals with the whole of the Highland area for tackling county lines, and that has had an increase in officers this year. So we've got two extra officers in there to deal with that, and work is continually ongoing to disrupt and deter that activity. Part of that comes under our harm prevention officer, because it's the vulnerable people that get taken advantage of. For the terminology I used was cuckooing, where the sort of the line or the individuals involved in that line will go into that person's house and use it as a base for their drug activity. So through, again, intelligence and partnership working, we try and assist vulnerable people to reduce the risk of this happening, and to prevent it from obviously making it more hostile area for it to happen in the north. So it's ongoing, and all I will ask for that is the more intelligence and information we get from the community, the better a picture we can create. And obviously we can then go down enforcement once we get enough information and corroboration to apply for warrants, etc. and that as well. So we rely heavily on our community providing information to us regarding any drug dealing and activity. And then this last part is the counter-terrorism, which is ongoing in the area. Anyone in Scotland, anyone in Britain can be affected or radicalised. So again, we work closely with partners, education, social work, to identify any person that may be getting involved in any sort of counter-terrorism activity. And then once we identify them, we work closely, and we will go and assist them, provide guidance, support, etc. and that as well, just to help them and change their ways and views. And again, intelligence-led policing for that is very important, and our community help us with that as well. So apologies, it's a quick whistle-stop tour. The last 2 pages or 3 pages of the report have sort of everything sort of broken down a wee bit more. But if you have any questions on the figures, then please just ask, and I will try my best to answer them.
Okay, thanks very much. That's really detailed. Councillor Burt, you got a question?
Yes. Well, going right back to the beginning, to your road traffic accident deaths, and there were 6 in the year. I suppose this applies to serious accidents as well. Are these located all around the same area, around the similar road junctions, for example, or are they more widely distributed across the whole ward?
Yeah, so I actually asked the road policing unit that this morning, just to see, like you said, if there was anything specific. But it appears they're actually spread out quite over the north area. It's not one particular area or one particular junction of a road that has all the crashes. They seem to be spread out, and tragically, obviously we've had an increase this year, and that appears to be of the figures. I think it's 6 separate accidents. So there has been some crashes this year where there's been multiple fatals in the one vehicle. But for the information that I provided there, from what I was found out this morning, it's sort of been 6 separate accidents that have resulted in these tragic fatals.
Do you well, I understand that. Do you happen to know if the people who were killed, were they local people or were they tourists from outside?
I do not have that information to hand, but I can ask for you, Councillor Burt, and I can obviously try and get that information for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Campbell? You're on mute, Biz.
How far west do you go? I do the area of Lochalsh and Lochalsh and Kishorn, but you don't do that area.
So yeah, so in terms of the committee ward reporting, that's in this ward reporting. But for my north area, I personally don't cover Lochalsh. That's covered by the South Command Area Chief Inspector, which is Donna Allen. But your figures for that area are included in the north.
Well, I know there was a fatality at Clooney this summer, so a motorbike one. So that was
yeah,
a type of one.
There was a fatality on the 87 just near Clooney.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So that's.
Because I was stuck in the queue.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know there was one there.
Yeah, that was one of the fatalities we've had this year for the sort of Lochalsh and north area. Yeah.
Thank you. But you generally don't cover, your figures cover the Lochalsh area, but not any other report.
Yeah, so the figures that I present to you, all the figures in this report that you have will include the Lochalsh figures. But in terms of but in terms of policing the area, the Lochalsh comes under the South Area Command. But the general committee figures I present them.
Oh well, that's fine. Thank you.
I'm not seeing any other hands up. I've got a couple of questions or observations. One is I've always been aware that fraud is one of the biggest issues that we face here in terms of crime, and there is quite a significant increase in our area. But I'm wondering, you did mention this, do you think that is because we are getting better at identifying it?
Yes, so that's part of the reason. So whenever the figures go up, you can look at it two ways. You can look at it that there's more crime committing or being committed, but you can also look at it that we're actually trying to record and deal with it more robustly, and we have better sort of, I suppose, confidence in the public to report it to us. But we also, again, some of our frauds actually come in from the banks, because they've got banking protocols. So they may have an individual that comes in and they may be trying to move a large amount of money into an account, but because they've got safety measures in place now, where they will ask certain questions as to maybe where the money's going to or who it's going to, if the bank aren't satisfied with the answers, they can phone us as well, and then we will go along and speak to that customer just to try and get more information and to confirm if it is a fraud or an attempted fraud or not. So there are better protocols in place to catch it, but unfortunately the people that are doing this are, I hate to say the words really good, but they're really good at what they are doing, and they sound so legitimate, and they may even have some basic sort of information on the individual that just sort of lends more credence to their calling that as well. So we always obviously try and say that if you do get a phone call from your bank, you can always just hang up, look for the number on the internet, and then phone them back. Don't ever phone a number they've provided you with, because again, there'll be somebody on the end of the line that sounds really, really legitimate for a bank and that as well. So I think confidence, protocols, processes, and obviously just more people are getting, unfortunately, targeted. We're just getting an increase in that as well.
Thanks. And I've got one other kind of a question, and that is we really appreciate that you break the figures down for us at ward level, because obviously they're taken from the wider area. So that's really appreciate that. That's really good information. And you are now meeting, with all the community councils, I think 4 times a year. And some of the community councils are still saying, the use of the policemen that came along to their community council meeting, and they got, you know, so almost a kind of one-to-one service. I just wondered what your thoughts were. You know, we're looking at quite a small population, so potentially easily identifiable people. And I just wondered if that is an issue when you give out these stats, if there's a particular crime, but the numbers are so small that a community could easily identify who was involved, if that would kind of prohibit you from giving out more information. Is that something that is considered?
Yeah, so one of the inquiries, or one of the sort of actions in an inquiry, is sort of media. So we might go down a media appeal, and either put out a description, or, you know, were you in an area at a certain time or date, and then obviously we can follow that up in that as well. So yeah, local communities and community awareness is really good for us. Likewise, if we do you know, have a crime, we'll do house to house or CCTV opportunities as well. So obviously, if we get a CCTV image, we can't put that out to the public, just because obviously data protection, and obviously if someone was identified, it may not be the person involved. But we do circulate it locally to all police officers, and obviously that's one way we use an image. But house to house is also good. But if a lot of the time, a house to house, we might not get anyone that's seen anything. So that's why we might go to a media appeal. But community council wise, just to go back to community councils, just because of sort of call demand and staffing, we can't dedicate officer to go to a meeting, because if we say that an officer is going to attend and then an immediate call comes in, or a car crash, for example, and we need to put into a crash, they're going to miss the meeting. So that's why we sort of have the quarterly updates, where I think the chairs go, or representatives go for each community council, and they get the update from the area inspector and that as well. So that was sort of deemed to be the best way to try and at least provide information, and also get information from community councils about what the sort of localised issues are. Because once we know the localised issues, we can then try and obviously assist with policing that, or proactive patrols, or engagement as well. So
Okay, thanks. Councillor Campbell?
Sorry, I forgot to ask. Is there a new policeman in Lochadden yet?
I think there is a new officer. If you bear with me, I'll just check
the last person was off with stress a long time, and then they were waiting for somebody else.
If you just bear with me. I couldn't honestly tell you. I'll get back to you, Councillor Campbell.
Oh, that's okay. It's just if it is, I've never seen them, and they've never been to the community council yet. So. And the last one was off quite a while with stress, but he's been posted to Inverness now.
Okay.
So, and did I miss it? But how are your drug figures for the area?
Drug figures for the area, just bear with me till I get them up. So if we look at possession of drugs for your ward, for 25-26 year to date, we're at 23, whereas 24-25 you had 7.
So
but if you look, they are up, but part of that is you're also up for detected drink driving. So generally, if someone's been drug driving, there may be signs, or they may still have some drugs on them. So that would be a drug detection for that, but also a drug detection for drug driving. So it's just showing that I think they're up because of the proactive work that's trying to get done in the area.
And do they have special people for drugs going around the area?
In terms of,
sometimes people are too frightened to report it.
So in terms of police detecting the drugs, or in terms of
detection of drugs, you know?
Yeah, so in terms of drug driving, all road traffic officers are trained.
It's not the driving, it's people taking it in the area, people selling it in the area.
Yeah, so in terms of selling or supply of controlled substances, let me see if I can put that. So supply of drugs for your area, this year we have no recorded crimes. Last year there was one, but people will go to Inverness or, you know, to get drugs, or people will know someone in that as well. So that's why we rely on members of the public to provide information to us about certain individuals that may be involved, so we can get a bit better picture, and then obviously try and do enforcement work with that as well. So
Okay, thanks. I'm not seeing any more hands up. So members, we are invited to note the progress made against the objectives set within the Highland Local Policing Plan from 23 to 26, which is attached to the report that we've all had for the comparing it to the last period. So are we happy to note that, members?
Happy to note it.
Yeah. And Councillor Logue, Councillor Burt, are you still there? Happy to note?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Okay, that's great. Well, thanks very much, David. Nice to meet you, and we will no doubt be seeing you again, and we'll all be in touch. Thank you.
thank you, Chair, and thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Bye.
Okay, bye. So our next item, item 4, we've got an update on the roads capital plan. And I think, just looking around my screen, so we've got Ian Moncrief and we've got Debbie Sutton to give an update on the report. Hello, Ian, and hello, Debbie. I'll hand over. Are you giving, I don't know which of you is giving the update, but I'll hand over to you both.
Okay, thanks for that, councillors. Firstly, good morning. This is the 26-27 Roads Capital Programme, and the programme is for approval. The first thing to note is that the area budget will be available after the 12th of February E&I committee. So it's still, as usual, it's still looking at it from a almost like a guesstimate, a roll forward. We've changed the format of the programme slightly so that we have a multi-year programme, and the first scheme on the list will be done first, and we will continue until the money, until the budget has been spent. We won't know the exact budget until around about probably May, because I will have probably underspends or overspends in the current year's budget to account for. So in essence, it's very similar to last year's committee report, councillors. Would you like me to go through this in depth, or would you prefer just to go straight to the schemes? I'm happy to do either.
Go straight to the schemes, I would say. We can read it, you know.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first scheme on the report is the A890 Octotire to Stromfrey. Now this is a large scheme, and it may be that we may have to, we can maybe split it up into smaller schemes, smaller individual inlays and overlays. So although it's the estimated scheme cost is over £1 million, it may be less than that. This is, as you know, carrying one of our principal routes in Ward 5, and we thought this was a particularly important route. Second on the list, Applecross to Shieldaig Road. There's sections on there which are in really poor condition, and we're looking at around about 500 metres in length, and that's already splitting it into repairing small sections of the road. That's coming in at just over £61,000. The two next schemes, Mains of Fairburn and Achnarsule, these are both have both caused several third-party claims due to the state of the road, and in particular Mains of Fairburn is badly breaking up. We might be able to reduce that scheme length slightly by splitting it into separate patches, but we're looking in the region of about £170,000. And Achnasul is also badly breaking up. I appreciate it. It only serves, I think it's 1 or 2 houses. And just to remind councillors, I try to have a sliding scale. At one end, I try to put money to our primary network, A-class roads, etc., as they carry the most traffic, so you get the most value for the pound spent. But on the other extreme, you've got the likes of Achnasul, you've got very isolated communities struggling with roads that haven't seen any investment for a good number of years. So I have to try to balance this. All these schemes are overlays. Moving on to the A832, this is west of Lochalsh. It's just to the south of Pool U. There's about 150 metres where it's been heavily patched and it's pretty rough and uneven. That was highlighted by the Community Council during a site visit. That was coming in about 31,000. There's a surface resting scheme at Lochclare. We may get round to this. This may be a future scheme. We're looking at 4.6 kilometres by 3.5 metres. That's 113,000. Councillors will note that after, I think it's been 6 years, we've put substantial investment into the A896, but there's still considerably more work to do. And finally, we have the Pool U, an overlay within the village. This is from the north end of the bridge to the village hall and includes a footway reconstruction. The footway has, well, the level difference between the footway and the road has reduced as the road has consistently been overlaid, and the curb is now virtually non-existent, and there is subsidence in the southbound carriageway. So we're looking at about 250 metres of that, around about £75,000. I should say that as this is a multi-year programme, it's unlikely that we're going to get even the majority of these schemes done. As we go through the year, and councillors will obviously be aware that although we've had a really bad spell of winter just now, we're certainly not out of winter by any means, and we may need to revisit some of these priorities. We may also need to revisit them because of the Scottish Road Maintenance Condition Survey results, which still haven't, which we're still waiting for. I would be pleased to sort of come back to a ward business meeting to discuss these priorities, and if necessary, we can change them, and that can be approved at a future committee. So I'm happy to take any questions, councillors.
Councillor Campbell?
The one I'm going to speak about is your very first one. I went over it on Saturday, and since the last snow, it is really dangerous from Achtertyre to Stone Ferry. It's that bad that when you're driving, you're perpetually trying to avoid those deep potholes. And it's all right if no cars are coming, but if cars are coming, it's really dangerous. I just want to stress how bad it is. And I know Fairbairn has been bad for a long time, that it's needing down. So it's not easy for you. You've got money and you've got to try to make money, but as councillors, it's a lot of our concern is the road safety of the road users.
Yes, I recognise that, Councillor Campbell. It's never an easy decision, and as I said earlier, I try to look at both the best value for money, but also trying to keep isolated communities with a half decent road.
And is it contractors you'll be taking in?
It will be a mix, Councillor Campbell. We undoubtedly will be using contractors, but we'll also be using our own DLO squads under Andrew Bowen.
Okay, any questions from Councillor Burt or Councillor Logue? I'm not seeing hands up. Nope.
Chris there?
I think so. So I've just got one little question, and it's quite far down the list, but it's the Gairloch outside the co-op. Because did we get quite a lot of work done on that road by the co-op? Because it was on the capital plan last year, but I think did they do quite? It's just a little bit that's to be done by us. Is that correct?
There was an agreement with the co-op, Councillor Craft, that we got them to do quite a bit of the road which has been damaged. Whether it was damaged by them or damaged by wear and tear, they agreed to do quite a bit, and we were to do a small section. So the section in the programme is what we said we would do. I'll confirm with my road officer that the co-op have in fact completed it, but they may be waiting till the end of the building works have finished.
That's great, thanks. Councillor Burt, you've got your hand up.
You've got Mains of Fairbairn listed, and as you say, that's much in need. The Community Council wonders, it's not exactly immediately adjacent, if while you've got stuff in the area, you could deal with the road junction at Scatwell. I think it was raised in various emails as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if it's possible to squeeze that in somehow.
Yeah, I think once I've certainly got Scatwell on my future list, Councillor Burt, and I'll be including that for discussion at the next ward business meeting. If possible, we can perhaps squeeze Scatwell in, but a lot depends on how much the schemes higher up the programme costs.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not seeing any more hands up. So as committee, we are invited to approve the rolling programme as listed in Appendix 2. That'll be a multi-year programme. To note that the area budget will be available after the February E&I committee, and that this programme may be required to be updated once results from the Scottish Road Maintenance Condition Survey have been received and considered. So are we happy to note these, members?
Happy to note. Happy to note.
Okay, well, thank you, Ian and Debbie. You got off lightly. Well, we'll see you, Ian, at our next business meeting.
Okay then, bye-bye.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
So I am now, I think I saw him come in as Mark there, number 5 on the agenda. We've got a community oh no, excuse me, Mark, it's Willie McKinnon. who's going to take this item, community asset transfer request from Torridon. So I'll hand over to you, Willie.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to brief members on the community asset transfer request from Torridon District Community Association for the ownership of the former Torridon Playpark site. The recommendation of the report asks members to approve sale of the land to the association for £1, subject to standard terms and conditions as identified in the report. As a summary, the estimated value of the asset is £20,000, with the group effectively seeking 100% discount. The community benefit is the reinstatement of a play park for local children and families, improving health, well-being and social connections. There are no play facilities in Torridon, the nearest being in Shieldig. The project design aims to be inclusive for all ages, with a phased installation due to the funding challenges. The estimated cost is up to £80,000. Funding sources have been identified to apply to. The capacity of the association is strong, having built the community centre in 2012. They have a skilled board, a development officer in post, and last year over 1,900 volunteer hours. During extensive consultation, the play park was identified as a top priority in the Torridon and Kinglehue Community Development Plan, which is for 2023 to 2028. The impact assessment acknowledged positive outcomes for children and socioeconomic benefits, with no negative impacts identified. Overall, the CAT request aligns with community priorities, demonstrates strong governance and support, and offers significant social benefits. And the approval is recommended. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Councillor Burt.
Thank you. Only to say that I know about this and I strongly support this asset transfer. I'm all in favour, nothing more than that.
Approve.
Okay, I'm happy to approve so that the committee, we're invited to agree the sale of the land of the former Torridon Play Park to the Torridon District Community Association for £1 based upon the terms of transfer as set out in the report. Are we all happy to approve that, members?
Happy to approve.
Approve. Okay, thanks, Billy.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. Bye now.
Bye.
So our next item is number 6, which is the housing revenue account garage rents, and it's Ewan Marsh, who is, what's your title, Ewan? Are you housing repairs officer?
Housing repairs manager north.
Housing repairs manager north.
There are some changes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Chair and members. Thank you for the opportunity to take you through these housing reports. So the garage rent report is for 2026-27 financial year, covering Wester Ross, Strathpeffer and the Lochalsh area. You'll note in point 2, the committee is invited to agree a level of rent increase to apply to the local ward for garages and garage sites equally. Point 6 of the report, it confirms that the rent levels are set locally by yourselves as members, so that's fine. Point 7 of the report, it maps out for members the current provisions within the ward. You'll note it covers garages and garage sites. The difference being the garages, self-explanatory, there is a garage on site, that's what we lease, and the site is where occupants can erect their own garage as part of that arrangement. So for members' information, the report confirms that non-Highland Council tenants, they are liable to pay a bit more. They're liable to pay the 20% VAT charge. The report also documents for members the current occupation levels of the garages and confirms the current rent level. Section 8 of the report, what we've done, members and Chair, is we've mapped out the recommended 8, 9 or 10% increases for your information, both for tenants of the council and obviously non-tenants as well. for ease of you to make your decision. So ultimately, Chair, as I say, it's mapped out for your information. It's for yourself and members to please agree the level of rent increase for next financial year, please.
Okay, members, have you all got the papers? So we're asked to agree either an 8, 9 or a 10% rent rise on the lease of the garages.
Agreed.
Having, well, actually, having looked at it, there's not a lot. Oh, sorry. Excuse me, Chris, in you come.
I was just going to say, well, maybe it's out of turn. I mean, I support the recommended increases, but what concerns me is that in some places, the garages which are rented are so incredibly small, they're often too small to house many modern cars. There are certainly some in Strathpeffer that are like that. I know there was talk about demolishing them and rebuilding some new ones, but I don't think anything's come of that so far. It's just a shame that if we have garages to rent, that people can't use them because they aren't big enough.
So what we have to agree today is whether we agree an 8, 9 or a 10% rise. That's what we have to agree. Councillor Campbell?
Maybe they're using them as storage and not cars. I would agree with 8%.
So my feeling is 8%. I know before we've gone for the kind of middle recommendation, but with the cost of living and the, everybody's bills going up, heating, and actually looking at the revenue that it brings in for us, it's not a huge difference to us. Certainly not between an 8% increase would be a total of 16,700. A 9% increase will be 16,800. So my feeling is to go for the 8% increase.
I agree.
If Councillor Burt, Councillor Logue?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so
yes,
that's us. Quote it. Thank you. So I think we will agree the 8% rise for both, for the private and the council, because the private tenants are paying more anyway because they're paying the VAT, aren't they?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
So happy to agree that.
Happy to agree.
And I think we're keeping you for the next item.
Sure.
Which is the housing repairs performance report.
That's right.
Hand over
Thank
to
you,
you for
Chair.
that. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members, for your previous decision. I've taken note of that. So yes, thank you, Chair. This is the Housing Repairs and Capital Report covering 1st of April 25 to 31st of December 25. So 2.1 of the report is members are asked to note our performance during this time period. Moving into down to point 6 of the report, this covers the repairs element of housing. So it's worth noting that these measurements are average time taken to complete our emergency repairs and non-emergency repairs. Obviously, each quarter compounds the previous quarter. So if performance is good or slips, then obviously that does transfer over to the next quarters. So the average length of time to complete our emergency repairs, it's recorded in hours. So table 1, that maps that out for members. In the ward for the quarter we're reporting just now, quarter 3, the last box there, we're reporting it takes 6.6 hours on average for us to mobilise, get somebody to a property, make it safe, and then report back that that's what's been undertaken. So that's within the target of the 12-hour period that we're allowing for these emergencies. So that's good performance, and obviously remains a priority for us as a service to keep the health and safety of our tenants. Moving on to 6.5 of the report, this is non-emergencies, so more planned type repairs. These are measured in working days, members. So the target for ourselves is 8.9 days to have that mobilised. That gives us a bit more time because we have to obviously procure materials and have different trades within a property, generally speaking, to finish a repair. So we're currently running at 8.2 days, which I'm pleased to report is still within the 8.9 day target. Point 7 of the report, this is void period, tenancy management. So the target for our void period, members, is 35 days. I must apologise. I think the report says 55.6, but it's actually 35. So that's a typo. We'll have that adjusted. As I've said in previous committees, the 35-day period, this allows for housing management colleagues to have the conversation with an outgoing tenant to start the paperwork. It also has our repairs element in the middle of the process, and the clock is still ticking essentially until we sign up a new tenant. So it's the full voids process, not just the repairs element that is in the middle. So for Q3, we're reporting 44.71 days. It's obviously slightly over our target, members, but some voids are more complex than others. They can take a bit more managing and arranging, and obviously 1 or 2 voids might increase our level, but we're always trying to achieve the 35-day target to the best of our ability. Moving on to point 8 of the report. This covers off and confirms to members that the capital programme that we're in the last year coming up now, it runs from 2022 to 2027, where we obviously, for the capital investment, we focus on key building components. So your main elements of a property, heating, kitchens, bathrooms, doors, windows, things like that. So the current programme delivery, it's been confirmed that we've completed these 3 larger scale contracts. They're listed for you there, 2 heating contracts and a roofing contract. 8.3 of the report. I see this as a good news, Chair and members. The D2C programme, what that essentially is, it's an eco-funding programme that we have with our energy colleagues. D2C simply means moving from an EPC band D and improving energy efficiencies of our property and lifting it into band C. So it's just the terminology of that process. By working collaboratively with our colleagues, we've achieved 44 property upgrades within your ward. And funding for that is external. So that's in addition to the funding that we already have in Highland Council for our capital. So that's been a really positive move, and we've welcomed that partnership with our colleagues. 8.4, for our local team, our local building maintenance team, we focus, as it says there, on one-off capital programme replacements. That's particularly unplanned works, members, where a tenant phones up and says their kitchen is needing to be inspected and it's end of life, essentially past economical repair, or a heating system's broken down, we can't repair it. So then we will replace them as one-offs. We've obviously got the environmental capital, where we're slightly behind on this, members. One of our key members of staff has been off sick, unfortunately, so we've lost a little bit of focus on that, but we're looking to bring that back in, and we'll be liaising with you in due course for some projects that we could look to deliver. And finally, 8.1, what this does, Chair and members, it maps out this financial year to date, the level of wall insulation, number of properties we've installed wall insulation, door installations, kitchens, heating, solar panels in properties. Obviously, this is year to date, so there's still scope for some more to be delivered before the end of the financial year. So happy to hand back to you, Chair, and happy to take any questions.
Any questions? No, I'm not seeing any hands up. I've got one, and I think it's, I've got a couple actually. One about your voids, your 35 days. That is from when one tenant leaves and the next one comes. Yeah.
Yes.
Is there any end to that? If for some reason there was a delay in a tenant taking up a place, would they potentially then lose that? Is there a kind of end number where you'd say that's kind of long enough? That's what I'm asking.
Thank you, Chair. In terms of trying to answer your question best to my ability, because we obviously concentrate on more the repairs element in the middle of the process. Our housing management colleagues, as we bring a void to the end of its repairs and refurbishment ready for meeting the empty home standard, our housing management colleagues are working in the background to secure a new tenancy sign up as quickly as possible, because as we said, the clock is still running. I'm not quite sure on my colleagues' process how long that they engage tenants before sign up. I do know that tenants can obviously refuse a sign up. They can go and visit a property. If they feel it doesn't meet their needs, then they can refuse it. At which point our housing management colleagues would presumably look to the list and see who's next eligible to be engaged. Apologies if I can't fully answer your question. I'm happy to go to Margaret Ross and see if we can help you a bit more with that.
I've got a second question, and I think that's to do with your DC programme, I think. Okay. And that's some of the houses that have been identified for an upgrade to be more energy efficient, and they've received funding or been picked up through one of the government schemes. Some of the contractors have not been able to deliver. Have you got any more information on this? And I can't offhand remember the name of the contractor, but I've had a couple of constituents where that's been the case. They thought they were being upgraded, and then because it goes to the external contractor, they've been unable to deliver.
Okay. No, thank you, Chair. Good question. I'm happy to take any specifics after the meeting and look into specific cases for you. What I will say, though, is that perhaps it's more about managing expectations. The D2C project has quite strict grant criteria that a property has to have an initial inspection first, assess what condition it's in, what elements it already has. Unfortunately, there are some cases where a property in reality actually ticks a few boxes that restricts the level of investment we can then put in. It's frustrating because we might go to a tenant and say, your property appears eligible, we need to come and inspect it. Only after the inspection, we might ascertain it's had newer windows, doors, it's got an upgraded heating system. That impacts the level of works we can then achieve funding for to give them additional works. But as I say, I'm more than happy to look at the specific cases you have. If you want to drop me an email after, or I can reach out to you, happy to do so.
Yeah, thanks, that's much appreciated. More questions? Okay, members, are we happy to note the report?
Happy to note.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Ewan. And now we are going to hand over to Mark Crowe for the Community Regeneration Fund assessments. And I think the first one I have declared an interest on. So as advised by the clerk, I am now going to leave the meeting while you discuss the first application, and Olala will call me back in. So I'm going to hand the chair over to Councillor Campbell, who is co-chair for this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Craft. We'll go over to Mark. The first one that Liz has declared an interest in is the Westeros biosphere. Mark, do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, so I had my introduction already before Councillor Craft left the meeting, so I'll say thank you and good morning. So obviously I understood that there would be maybe a declaration of interest. So what I'll do is rather than take the 4 applications as a block for consideration and approval, I'll take them one at a time and just ask at the end of summarising each one if members would like to approve, defer or reject the application. Is that okay, Councillor Councillor Campbell?
Yes, that's
Okay.
okay, Mark.
So we've got 4 applications, and the first one is Westeros Biosphere. They are seeking £38,093 for staff and organisation overheads to cover a funding gap that they have at present. This would cover 6 months' costs for them. 2026 marks 10 years of the UNESCO Biosphere designation for Westeros, and the organisation are seeking this funding to ensure that designation is revalidated. The funding is also aimed at transitioning the organisation to a more sustainable financial model with the retention of their current staff. The application has evidenced good levels of community engagement and support and meets a need in the Westeros area. The project scores amber in a few of the criteria due to the full funding request and legacy and sustainability in terms of the future funding for the organisation. Okay, Councillor Campbell, I'll put it back to members for consideration.
Members, you've heard Mark. Do you approve this application?
For me, yes, strongly. This is a vital service, really, which is appreciated outside its specific area. It's carried out a lot of useful work, and we need to ensure that it continues. I support it.
I support it, Mark, but I would like to say that I'm disappointed that High have backed out of their support for it, and hope that the Regeneration grant, which is for regenerating communities, will not be left with this solely, that they must find alternative funding. But I approve this application. Thank you. Patrick?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. There you are, Mark.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Do you want to, Clark, do you want to invite Councillor Craft back in?
Yes.
Yes, I did. She probably is doing it now.
Thanks.
So, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
That's good. Right. Thanks. So I am now back in the meeting. I'll take over as chair.
This will confuse me, so apologies if I refer to the wrong chair.
No, don't worry. Listen, Biz and Liz. So I'll hand over to you, Mark, for the next 2 applications. Thanks.
Okay, so the next application is from Lochalsh and Skye Swimming Pool Association. They're looking for £16,380, which is approximately 80%, to review the current condition and operation of the facility in Kyle, and to look to offer an options appraisal of interventions which could either reduce their costs and energy consumption and or look to improve revenues. Following the outcome of this study, the organisation would then seek to pursue those interventions that were achievable and bring about the most gain. The applicants presented strong evidence of need and support for the leisure facility within the local community, with its primary aim to be to teach young people how to swim. It should be noted that the nearest alternative facilities range between 36 to 78 miles distant from Kyle. Chair, I'll put that back to you for consideration.
Councillor Campbell?
I fully support this application and how vitally important it is for children to learn to swim. This facility, the new management has done so much to bring it to the standard, and it helps Torridon, Cushing, Shieldig, and Lochalsh and south end of Skye. So I fully support it. Thank you.
Yeah, I would like to concur with that. Communities travel over from Applecross, and actually the need to learn to swim was raised in the Scottish budget last week. So it's, you know, it's I 100% support this application. Any other views, Councillor Burt, Councillor Logue?
No, I support it, except that there are some communities like Applecross which use a bath nearer, but that's not beside the point, really. I support it.
Yeah, I think the school kids from Applecross go over for swimming.
They do.
They do, because they got their bus for that. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So-
they got the bus for it, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we are happy to support, Mark.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next application is from Dornian District Community Trust. They are requesting £11,130, which will help them complete their finishing works prior to opening the refurbished former village shop as a community hub. The hub will comprise a shop, a cafe, and affordable rental flat above, with the shop and cafe open all year round to serve the local community. The bulk of the works have already been undertaken, with major funding received by the Trust from the Community Ownership Fund, Scottish Land Fund, and the Community-led Local Development Fund and via Highland Council. There has been a delay due to the three-phase electrical meter installation that's frustrated the organisation. But with this funding, the Trust hope to be open by April this year. The amber score was due to the uncertainty of an electrical connection date being secured, but this has now been progressed. Okay, back to you, Chair, for consideration.
Okay, Councillor Campbell.
I fully support this very energetic group on what they've achieved and look forward to the opening in April, which I'm sure the whole community will do. And this funding will be the icing on the cake for them. It'll be the completion stage, and I know the group they've put so much energy into it, and it's been frustrating for them, the electrical supply, but I'm glad to hear they've got it resolved. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to second that. Excellent application.
Thank you.
And I support it. It's obviously
you.
an incredibly worthwhile project, yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Was that
Thank
your
you,
last
members.
one, wasn't it? That was.
No,
Yeah.
I have one more.
Oh, you have one more. Excuse me. Oops.
Yes. So this final application is slightly novel for ourselves. So it's from an organisation called Create Inspire Projects, who are based near Garve. No, actually, I think they're based near Ullapool. The postal address is Garve. To fund their Travelling Imaginarium project, which looks to seek to engage remote and rural communities with hands-on creative arts events. The project is well planned, and it seeks to reduce barriers to participation, including the provision of free transport to the venues. It potentially helps to address loneliness, social inclusion, and mental health issues in communities, as well as developing a sense of well-being. It would have the benefit of project management support from Inspiring Scotland's Creative Communities team, having narrowly missed out on funding from them in an extremely competitive funding round. They were one of 340 applications who made it through to the final 40 shortlist, with only 11 receiving funding. And it was referred to the council by Creative Communities, who've offered to provide project management and mentor support if they can secure funding from elsewhere. The amount requested here reflects the 3 locations within Wester Ross, but the entire project would be 5 locations with 2 in Sutherland, and they're seeking for funding for those 2 locations from Sutherland Committee. Okay, Chair, I'll put it back to you for consideration.
Yeah, thanks. I was aware of this, and I do support it. I think I've had a look at the application. I think it's really innovative. I think it's really geared towards what we need in our rural communities. Sorry, Councillor Campbell, you had your hand up. You want to come
No,
in?
you finish, Councillor.
Yeah, no, just to say I am happy to
Just
support it.
I endorse it wholeheartedly for such, loneliness in our rural communities can be dreadful, and there's nowhere in West of Ross and you get remote rural areas. So provided Sutherland support them, I'm fully behind this project. Thank you.
And I support it wholeheartedly too. It sounds like an excellent project and a much needed one for isolated people in those communities. I support it certainly.
Yeah, thanks. It's actually quite an exciting project. Different.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, members. So
Okay,
just to summarise, with approval for those 4 applications, that will leave £204,288 left remaining in the West of Ross funding pot for future applications. Yes, Councillor Bird.
Can you remind us of the timescale for applications for that residual funding?
It's a rolling process. So I would like to come to meet members in the next area business meeting that they have to discuss the platform that we've launched. So I've been promoting to local organisations who've been inquiring about funding for the new Be Connected website that we have. So I refer them to put their projects onto that website. And for us, that's our way of knowing what projects are coming forward. But the intention then is to come to meet members monthly as new projects come on and to ask them whether or not they would like us to invite them to apply for funding. So we haven't had confirmation yet, but we should have a notification of the next tranche of coastal communities funding that will top up that pot. It generally comes in between January and March. So we would anticipate that residual amount of money is topped up, and that we don't have a closing date for applications for funding, but it's a rolling process as those projects develop.
I know of 2 projects which are likely to make application when they're fully worked up, but not ready yet.
Well, what I'll do is I'll send an email around to members with a link to that website, and I'd be happy to come to the next business meeting and give a demonstration of that site.
Thanks, Mark.
That's great. I think Lynn's here. If she caught that, if we can invite Mark to the next business meeting.
Yes, Chair, that's no problem at all. Thank you. I'll arrange that with Mark.
Okay. And Councillor Campbell?
You said that the next Crown Estate funding will be coming, Mark. What other funding, intentions of funding, will there be to call it the regeneration funding? You know, that you've got the Crown Estate and you had another 2, didn't you?
So we have in the past, this year we have place-based investment programme, which is capital funding. It's a relatively small amount in comparison to the coastal communities funding because it's population based, where the coastal communities is coastline based. So that comes. We have in the past had UK Shared Prosperity Fund, but that isn't happening at the moment. We have funding that comes through the team that doesn't come to area committees. It goes to a Highland-wide LAG, local action group, that's called Community-Led Local Development, and the Donian District Community Trust have benefited from that previously. So the Community Regeneration Fund team is kind of set up for any funding programs that are community targeted that come from Scottish Government or UK Government, that we would add that into the umbrella of community regeneration funding.
And is it you, Mark, that advises them whether they should go for LAG or stay in the regeneration?
I think it's just about timing. I think if they go for the community-led local development funding, it's quite a narrow window, so they have to complete that project by the end of the financial year. With the area-based funds that members here are looking to use, there's a degree of flexibility in that we don't have a deadline, a harsh deadline on when that should be spent by.
And it would be quite a good idea, Liz, as chairwoman, to invite High to a business meeting to see what type of things they're funding.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That we haven't had them for a while actually at a business meeting, so I think that would be really useful.
Because they seem to have withdrawn from trusts. First of all, they were funding trusts for about 3 years and different projects for 3 years. And now they seem to have withdrawn from funding trusts altogether. So we just want to see what they are funding. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I would definitely support that.
Thanks.
Okay, no more questions for Mark?
No.
And we thank you for your time,
Thank you.
not just now at the meeting, but all the time that we're always contacting you.
That's absolutely
Thank
fine.
you.
Thank you very much, members.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very
Bye.
much.
So item 9 is just to note the following discretionary fund applications that were approved from October to December, and that was Content Community Trust for their Senior and Kids Christmas Party, £500, and the Alt Bay Community Hub purchased a new dishwasher for the community cafe at £1,500 we gave to them. So we're happy to note these payments from the Ward Discretionary Fund.
Happy to note.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
and then just to note the minutes that were circulated that were approved by full council on the 11th of December.
Happy to note.
That brings us to the end of our meeting. So thank you for your time, everybody, and your input. And Olala, your patience with us at the beginning with all the tech problems. Thank you very much.
No problem at all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, members.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.